Welcome back to ABC News Live Weekend. Turning now to some of the big legal cases we are following in this week's Burden of Proof. The family of the late rapper Tupac Shakur has hired a team of investigators to look into what they say is a link between Sean Diddy Combs and the murder of the hip-hop star in 1996. Popular TikTok creator Mr. Prada has been arrested and charged with the second-degree murder of a therapist in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, after claims of the influencer's possible involvement went viral on social media. And two of the officers accused of being involved with the 2020 death of Breonna Taylor have been indicted yet again. So let's bring in former federal prosecutor and president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, Neama Rahmani. Neama, thank you for joining us again on this Sunday. I want to begin with what so many people are talking about, this Tupac investigation, the family of the hip-hop megastar alleging that Diddy may have had something to do with his murder in 1996. They've hired a powerhouse attorney, a team of investigators. What do you make of this?
Well, Phil, I mean, these accusations have been going on for quite some time, and Tupac's family has hired Alex Spiro, who is actually handling the defense of Mayor Eric Adams, who we've been talking about. And we all know that Diddy's being prosecuted by that same office. Now, the challenge here is, even though the allegations are that, Combs may have been involved in the 1994 shooting of Tupac that obviously didn't kill him, and then potentially the murder 2 years later, someone else is being prosecuted for this murder right now in Las Vegas, and that's Keefe Davis. He's alleged to be the shot caller in the murder of Tupac. So I'm not sure that this investigation will go too far, especially when someone else is being held criminally accountable for that murder.
Let's move on then to the TikTok star, Mr. Prada. He's been charged, possible involvement in the brutal murder of a 69-year-old therapist. The speculation of their connection, something like 10 million views on social media. What kind of role does social media play in a case like this, in pushing a case like this? I mean, kind of in the Diddy and Tupac situation, social media played a role as well. But when it gets the attention of millions, what kind of role are we talking about here?
Well, Phil, it plays a huge role, both traditional and social media. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. We're seeing it right now with the Menendez brothers, for instance, and the Netflix series Monsters. But whenever you have someone that gets a lot of attention, the political reality is every prosecutor in this country is either elected or they're appointed by someone who is. So obviously in this case, the question is, what really is the relationship between Thomas and the victim, Abraham? Now, there's plenty of evidence here. He was driving Abraham's car. He fled the scene. There's video surveillance of him going into Abraham's apartment and then pulling this tarp out. So the question is, if he wasn't a client of the therapist, why would someone be involved in such a gruesome murder? I think that's something that jurors are going to want to know, even though, of course, motive isn't an element of the crime the prosecution has to prove.
Okay, so moving to the new indictments in the death of Breonna Taylor, two former Louisville police officers involved are being retried. One of them, Brett Hankison, pre-trial hearing is set to begin this week. But this is the third time this case is being brought forth after a judge declared a mistrial last year. We all remember that. What are you watching for as it unfolds this time?
Well, what I'm watching for is, are the police officers going to be held accountable? And we know how difficult it is in this country to convict police officers. I mean, we saw it just last week with the Tyree Nichols officers just being convicted of obstruction counts. And we all saw that video and how gruesome and disturbing it was. Now, in Breonna Taylor's case, obviously, you have the officer who's shooting outside into the inhabited dwelling. But of course, a little bit more difficult because the officers in that case were shot at first.
Neama Rahmani, thank you so much. Always good to have you break down the cases with us.
Thanks for having me, Phil.